maybe I'm opening this up too early, but I kind of want to go here a little bit with you, Peter, is that I think there is a misconception what advanced analytics and using machine learning for, we had this conversation what a data scientist is versus a machine learning engineer. And there's a misconception of use cases here, how we can use machine learning for engineering purposes versus actually I'm here to really understand, the insight. Advanced analytics to me is different. And we are now basically ending up human-like insights where we have taken away the bias, which is advanced analytics is the word I would sort of frame this in. You can go much earlier into machine learning for some very concrete purposes, or vice versa. They aren't sort of, I would even argue mutually exclusive. Mm. Do you agree? Do you see what I'm trying to say here?
Absolutely. And I recall years ago, we used to talk about the maturation process from like analytics to predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics.
I've done this myself, the analytical ladder.
There you have it. Right?
Descriptive, diagnostic,
exactly,
predictive,
right?
prescriptive, and which is sort of really. Then I've been part of this problem because I even done this ladder, right? And it's a little bit like people have heard this so much from Gartner, from all the management consultants. So we are confused here, I think.
Yes, and the bigger problem is when you create that nice ladder approach, you sort of invite an understanding of sequence. Mm-hmm. And it's like stepping stones and building blocks, and you begin with this thing, and then it moves to this thing, and then eventually you can optimize. And I think that's a simplification. And I think whereas relative each other, they sort of have a relative sophistication, if you will. Like, so it is more sophisticated. If you dare to be prescriptive and optimize a process based on a target, that is more impressive or more sophisticated than if you just describe what's going on. So if you have a rear view mirror BI solution, that is often less impressive than if you have a forward-leaning prescriptive, you should do this thing rather than that happened.
But this is different use cases.
Yes, so they don't build upon each other. And I think that's the sequential fallacy, if you will. You think you need to first put your information governance in place, and then you need to put your descriptive analytics in place, and then you can sort of slowly, move through the.
There are elements of truth in this. You need to have your data set, your data model, and then your analytical model. But in reality, I think this is very much misunderstood.
It is, and what I'm basically trying to say is, what you want to identify what you want to achieve. And then you bring to bear whatever you think is relevant for solving that or achieving that goal. And then you may have a little piece of information governance. You can have a little bit of Tableau visualization. You can have a little bit of sophisticated prescriptive analytics, CPLEX-based technologies, and you can have a little bit of predictive analytics using SPSS and you piecemeal it together. And then, you want some ML stuff? Fine. You want an adversarial network going in here? Yeah, maybe you could benefit from that. And so I think. Whereas you do have to have, a good grasp of data management for sure, to be truly data driven and benefit from that.
So there's a foundation piece here that is relevant for all.
I think so, but I mean it's not horizontally broad across the entire enterprise. It's not so that finance need to have their stuff in order for marketing segmentation to work.
Mm. I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I think it's so common to hear, especially when you speak to companies, saying, well, we first need to build the data lake, we then need to build these pipelines, and then we need to build these dashboards, and then perhaps in a year or two we can start to use AI.
Right, and that's just tech enthusiasm being on display. Like, it's not why.
It's so wrong, I think, and I'm glad to hear that you think so as well.
I think Jeff Bezos of Amazon said it very well when he said, your margin, my opportunity.
Right.
Like, just attack where you see the slack in the system and just outperform them. So if you want to go sell books, go do that. You want to go into Whole Foods, you go do that. You want to do prefab housing and have Alexa be the the voice of the house, you go do that. You're in the business of doing business.
But now we're getting into a topic where I think IBM as part of the industry is also part of the problem here, because to some degree here, when I take the real tech companies, they fundamentally are so mature in understanding where is the slack in the system. Number one, so they have this mindset. Your margin is my opportunity, and then they have the know-how to pick this apart, to translate that to the fundamental bits and pieces, the piecemeal approach, and then surgically fix whatever they need fixing. Now, what I have felt, working a lot in the enterprise environment, is that basically, and I'm not putting the blame on one company, I'm thinking it's the industry as such, is that we have been driving this sort of hype type approach to technology. It's somewhat, we all need to do big data. We have this old big data stuff. And it's a little bit like, actually, what are you trying to solve? And actually, wait, we are
First
talking
principles.
First principles.
We are talking about storage here, and how will that solve? How can big data? Well, you need the whole stack, by the way. So I think, and then this whole hype. First it was big data, then it was something else, then it was something else, and what I'm trying to say is that coming in an enterprise setting where you simply don't have you don't really understand how it works, so you haven't been able to really pick apart the fundamental first principle of the problem, you are failing at basically utilizing all the brilliant technologies in the right way. And it becomes sort of this vendor versus this vendor or something like that, but not really even considering the fundamentals that you're saying. And I think this is something we need to figure out in the industry, that we are killing ourselves with hype.
Absolutely. And I think that the Gartner hype cycle is a very valuable tool to sort of call this out a little bit.
Yes.
And I think it's a means and an end discussion. And we if we like tech, we tend to sort of get very tech focused. And then you like one piece of tech as opposed to another, or you like one company's approach as opposed to another. And it sort of it misses the larger goal. And again, with the reflection of the first principle and the reason, your business reason or raison d'être. And I'm thinking of it in terms of, in concrete terms, there needs to be a very solid approach to technology. And you need to have a very astute understanding of the possibilities of technology for you to be able to map those possibilities to the needs that you have as a business. But it needs to be business needs driven. But that may be more vague in terms of engineering science than technology. So we tend to sort of get pulled into technology. Think of the tendency for if you've been in large project deliveries or program deliveries, right? And the program or the project is starting to sort of face problems in terms of delivery or budget overruns or time overruns. There is a tendency to sort of cramp and look at the details, and you sort of, to try and fix the problem, you get dragged into the Excel and you try to figure out, oh no, it's this thing, and you start to micromanage things because you're being concerned about the bigger outcome of the program. But that is the complete incorrect approach. You don't go in and micromanage your way out of a project that is derailing. You need to lift your gaze and look at, but what is it that we actually need to do to get there?